Okay, so there was one piece here that we didn't complete before when we were doing our video editing, and that was put in our title slide. And a title slide is a lot about telling people what the video you are currently working on is all about. So we have our intro video from Brilliant Labs. Now I'm going to create a title slide. To do that, I go up to the project bin, the same place where we added our clips or folder before, and I'm going to just add a title clip. It's going to open up this editing window. The editing window seems a bit daunting, but you shouldn't get lost in there. There's a few things that you need to be cognizant of, and I'm just going to focus on the things that are going to create what we need to create. The first thing is the color. In my case, I'm using the Brilliant Labs purple. I'm also using a specific font up here on the right-hand corner called Andale Mono, and I'm doing it at 128 points, and that's the size I want for my title slide. I've done this before. This is what I've discovered works for me. So there it is, the color, the gradient, the size, and I'm bolding it. Okay, so that's the ones I put there. The second thing I'm going to do, if I don't change this in here, the background is going to be black, and most often it's going to be transparent. So in this particular case, I changed the background to white because I want the purple to pop. So I'm going to create this clip now. I'm just going to click over here. So text up on the top menu, you can see here's the text. You've got your normal stuff, selection tool, add text, add a rectangle, add an image, open a document, save as, so on and so forth. So I'm just going to take this and add the text. Once I click on it, when I click here, it's going to bring up the word text. That is an editable field. So I'm going to put in Kdenlive editing. And that's what we're doing here, right? We're doing the Kdenlive editing. And it's going to be Kdenlive editing. And this, I'm going to press enter. This is episode 1. Now notice when I press enter, it no longer left justifies, it automatically right justifies. I want this whole thing to be centered. I don't want it to be right or left justified, so I'm going to center it. So I also want to change this edit. So to change it, it's the Kdenlive editing series. It's not the Kdenlive editing episode. So I want to put the word series in here. And to do that, I'm going to go right before episode. I'm going to type in the word series. Then I'm going to press enter so that episode 1 goes down to the next line. It still doesn't look good, so the same sort of editing. I'm going to go up in just before the word editing, I'm going to press enter there. And I'm just going to arrange things so that it looks good to me overall. And that's good. Kdenlive editing series. That looks good there now. So I'm going to say OK. So you'll notice that it's now in my project bin. To insert it into here, in between my introduction and in between my first edit point, I need to take my shuttle, that right there, and line it up so that it's right in between those two clips. And then I come up to timeline, insertion, and insert clip zone in timeline. So that means it's going to take the clip that I have currently selected. So I've got that selected. That's selected. The shuttle's in the right place. Timeline, insertion, insert clip zone in timeline. It's going to take the Kdenlive and insert it there for me. It's 5 seconds in duration, which is plenty of time. It needs that next part though, and that's the fade in, fade out part. So I'm going to take a little bit of fade in so that I can get it to fade in properly, and I'm going to take a little bit of fade out so I can get it to fade out properly. We'll view our handiwork now. I don't have any music running with the title, and it doesn't need it. Notice how it comes in nice and elegantly. Exit the same way. With no audio, it actually gives you a demarcation point between your intro video and your main video. So there's no problem having no audio. You could have continued your music to encompass the title slide, but it isn't necessary. So for our simple editing process, the last thing we're going to be doing is a render. And what rendering is basically creating a movie from all the editing that you've done. So it's once again an older term used in digital video editing maybe 10 or 20 years ago. But what it means is basically output. So we're going to go up to render. We're going to click on render. And render is going to give us some choices. It's going to give us generic web types. So WebM is a very widespread free format used. MP4 is the one we're going to use. It's one of those things we use a lot in the YouTube world. MP4 is a very ubiquitous format, able to be opened by a lot of different browsers. So that's what we're probably going to use. We're going to use MP4 here. We're going to have to put in what our output file is going to be, so you have to make sure that it's pointing in the right direction and you have a name on it, otherwise it'll be untitled. We're going to output the full project, and we're going to quality, so you can adjust the quality here, and the quality is going to change somewhat how good the video will look, but not enough. But we're still going to output it in full quality. So you just click on render to file. I've already done this once, so I'm going to do it again. It's going to render. It's going to give you a time limit. Basically, in this day and age in digital video, the amount of time it takes to render something and the length of the video is pretty well the same. And through the magic of video, that rendering job only took a few seconds. Once it's completed, you just clean it up so that it's no longer there, and you close it so that your next rendering job can take place.